So, here is my microscope. This is a compound light microscope. This particular microscope will magnify image at 3 different levels. It uses light, and then it also uses multiple lenses to magnify the image so that you can see it. What we're going to do first is we're going to talk about the parts of the microscope, and then we'll talk about how to use the microscope correctly. Okay. First thing, we'll start here at the top, and then we'll work our way on down to the bottom. First part of this is the eyepiece. This is where you look through to see the image that is being displayed on the stage. Whatever you're trying to see, whether it's a cell or maybe something that's very, very small, you're going to look through right here, this particular part called the eyepiece. This is also the first place that the image is magnified. The image is magnified 10 times right here at the eyepiece. So immediately the image is 10 times larger than it is just looking with your normal eyes. Okay? This is the tube. Okay? You look down through the tube, and then you're going to look through these 3 things right here. We call these 3 things objectives. These are objectives. There is a low power objective, medium power objective, and high power objective. Each one of these objectives is going to magnify a different amount. So we'll start with low power. Here's the low power objective. It has a red band on it. This particular objective magnifies the image 4 times. Okay, so all I do is I simply magnify that number 4 times the number of magnification here at the eyepiece, which is 10 times. So 10 times 4 is 40 times. So on low power, the image is going to be enlarged 40 times greater than it is if you just look with your normal eyes. Okay. The next objective is the medium power objective. It has a yellow band on it. The medium power objective magnifies the image 10 times. Multiply that with the eyepiece, which is also 10. 10 times 10 is 100. So when you're looking through the microscope on medium power, it magnifies the image 100 times. Okay. Lastly, we have the high power objective. It's kind of got an aqua blue colored band on it. The high power objective magnifies the image 40 times. So if you take that with the eyepiece, which is 10 times 40 is 400. So the high power objective magnifies the image 400 times greater than it is just looking with your normal eyes. Okay, working our way on down. This big black area is called a stage. Okay, this is where you place a slide, whatever specimen you're looking at. You place it on the stage. Okay, in the middle of the stage there is a hole. That's very important because that's where the light shines through. On the stage you have these little metal clips. These are simply called stage clips. Okay, there are 2 stage clips, one on each side. Okay, they are used to hold the slide in place so it doesn't get bumped or accidentally knocked off. Okay, below the stage, and we always forget about this because it's kind of out of sight, is this little dial. Okay, this little dial right here that rotates. Okay, this little dial is called a diaphragm. It has 5 different holes, 5 different size holes in it that allows different amounts of light to shine through the stage. Okay, sometimes you want to use more light to help you see the image. Sometimes you need less light. Sometimes too much light can drown out the image and it makes it harder to see. Here at the bottom, we have the base. This right here is the base, obviously what the microscope sits on. This large knob right here is called the coarse adjustment knob. The coarse adjustment knob is used to make very large focusing adjustments, very rough focusing adjustments. You will not get the image in real fine, sharp focus with this knob. It's just for moving the image quickly in and out of focus. Here is the fine adjustment knob. The fine adjustment knob is used for that real sharp focusing to get your image real clear. You use the fine adjustment knob. Underneath the stage we have this right here. This is our light source. Okay, light source provides light to shine through the stage and then all, up through the objective and then through the eyepiece so that you can see it, our light source. And then lastly, we have this part right here. This is called the arm, okay, of the microscope. This is important because this is how we carry the microscope, which we'll talk about here at the end of the video. Okay, so those are the parts. Let's go over those again real quickly. Eyepiece, objectives, low, medium, and high power objectives. Stage, stage clips. Underneath we have the diaphragm. Okay. Base, coarse adjustment knob, fine adjustment knob, light source, and then arm. Okay, very good. Also, we have a couple other things that we use. This is a slide. They can either be plastic or glass. This one is plastic. It makes it a little bit more durable, but I can also use glass as a slide. I would put my specimen on here so that I can put it on the stage so I can see it. This right here is a cover slip. Cover slips are used to cover up the specimen on the slide. Okay, that way it keeps it in view and makes it easier to see. Okay, we also have what's called prepared slides. This is a prepared slide. Okay, this particular prepared slide is of frog skin. So if you want to look at what frog skin looks like up close, you could look at this particular prepared slide. Okay. So now let's talk about the process, how we go about using the microscope and focusing the microscope and so forth. The first thing is to always make sure that we have the stage as low as it can go. We use the coarse adjustment knob to move the stage all the way down. Okay? And you don't have to crank and crank and crank on it. You know, when it stops, it's done. Okay? So we move the stage all the way down. Okay? We're going to put the microscope on low power, which is the red band, okay, objective. And that objective should be pointing directly straight down over this hole that's in the stage. Okay? Then we want to make sure that our light source is on. Okay? You would not believe how many times I get the comment, "Mr. Wilhelm, I can't see anything." And I say, "Well, is your light on?" "Oh, no." Turn the light on. You cannot see anything unless the light is on. It's a compound light microscope. You have to have a light in order for this microscope to work. Okay? So make sure your light's on. The next thing is make sure your diaphragm is on a medium number. I usually like to start on 2 or 3. Okay? And it has a number over here to the side, okay, that tells you what the number is, whether it is 2 or 3 or 4. So we'll start right here on 3. Okay? Again, make sure you're not between holes in the diaphragm either, because if you're between holes in the diaphragm, it won't allow light to shine through the stage. Also, something I left out is whenever we're making sure that the objective is in place, make sure it clicks into place. Okay, there makes a little click noise. There's a definite locking sensation to it. Make sure it's locked into place. If you're not locked into place, if you're halfway between the medium and the low power objective, again, light cannot shine through. You're not going to be able to see anything. Okay, so stage is all the way down. We're on 3 on the diaphragm. Our light is on. Then we take our prepared slide and we're going to put it on the stage, and we're going to get that specimen, that piece of frog skin, right over the top of that hole, and then we'll use our stage clips to lock it in place. Okay, now all we need to do is simply look through the eyepiece, okay? And as I'm looking through the eyepiece, I'm going to use the coarse adjustment knob, okay? The coarse adjustment knob to roll the stage upwards very slowly until I can start to see something. And you keep rolling it, moving it until you see something. And there I go. I see that piece of frog skin. Once you kind of get it into a rough focus, then you go on to the fine adjustment knob, the little knob, and you're going to continue to move the fine adjustment knob back and forth until you can find a sharp, sharp image. And sometimes you have to experiment with this. Sometimes you have to go too far one way and then too far the other way to really figure out what is focused. Okay? So now I'm focused on low power, but I want to look at it closer. So I look from the side and I simply take the medium objective and I lock the medium objective into place. The reason I'm looking from the side is I don't want to ram that objective into the stage, which could possibly cause damage to the objective. Here I've got plenty of room, so I'm going to lock that medium power objective, that's the one with the yellow band, in place. And then I'm going to look through the eyepiece. Now, if I've done my job correctly, I should not need to touch the coarse adjustment knob again. I should be done with the coarse adjustment knob. I should be able to simply just use my fine adjustment knob to do a little bit of focusing, and I see my image much larger, much clearer through the eyepiece. Lastly, I want to look at it on high power. So again, I look from the side, I switch over to high power, being careful not to slam that objective into the stage. And again, I'm going to use only my fine adjustment knob and focus it nice and sharp. And right now, my image looks a little dark. I think it's a little too dark. I think I'm going to adjust my diaphragm to a level 4 so that there's a little bit more light shining through, so it gives me a better picture. Okay. Now, you need to understand that not everything needs to be seen on high power. Sometimes simply looking through medium power is more than enough. Sometimes you can be too close and you're going to miss the big picture. So just keep in mind, you don't always have to go to high power. Sometimes medium power is enough and sometimes low power is enough. Okay? It just really depends upon what you're looking at. Now, I'm done. I'm done with this particular slide, so I'm ready to pack up. Okay? Very simple process. Take the stage and move it all the way downward as far as it goes. Okay? Once you move the stage downward, okay, you take the low power objective and you lock the low power objective in place. We always store the microscope on low power with the stage all the way down. I can remove my prepared glass slide and go put it away. Don't want to drop that, it'll break. Okay? And then obviously turn your light source off. When you unplug, you always grab from the plug, and then there's a nice little place on the back of the microscope where you can wrap the cord around in order to store it. Okay? Most of the times you guys will not have to store it because I'll need it for my other classes and so forth, but if you're the last class of the day or whatever, I may have you store the microscopes for me.